You know Henry Ford, you heard of Henry Ford? Henry Ford died and went to heaven. They put him in the 5th level of heaven. And Henry Ford noticed the chairperson of Hindustan Motors was in the 1st heaven. He felt very insulted. How can this be? I made better cars than him. Why am I in the 5th heaven, he is in the 1st heaven? He went and asked Saint Peter, the keeper of the heaven, how can this be possible? I made better cars, but I am in the 5th heaven, he is in the 1st heaven. So Peter said, I'll get you an appointment with God. It's up to you, you go and talk to him. It's all his decision. So he got an appointment, went and met God. And he lamented, how can this be? I manufactured better cars. Just my T model is enough to get me the 1st level of heaven. Why am I given 5th level and he is given 1st heaven? Why is this so? So God said, see Henry, I understand you made good cars. People have enjoyed your cars, that's fine. But people got into your cars, forgot about everything and drove. They enjoyed the drive. But when people got into his car, they always said, oh my God. Once it happened, you know the Hells Angels, you know them? Those motorcycle gangs, especially in United States, they call Hells Angels. They just live on their motorcycles. One of them crashed his motorcycle, and after few days, he became conscious in a hospital. Then the doctor saw the man is just coming to his consciousness and said, hey man, I have to tell you this. I have some good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? So he said, okay, what the hell? Give me the bad news first. And the doctor said, you crashed badly this time. I had to amputate both your legs. He said, oh hell, the devil. Okay, what's the good news, doc? There is somebody who's willing to buy your boots. Once it happened, Pope died. Not this one, previous one. Pope died and naturally he went to heaven. He came to the gates of heaven. There's Saint Peter sitting on a tall security stool, smoking a Cuban cigar. It's not banned there. Looked at this man who came with a strange cap and all that. He looked at him and said, who are you? He blew a plume of smoke into Pope's face and asked, who are you? Pope was aghast. How dare you talk to me like this? You don't know who I am? I am the Pope. Okay man, every day all kinds of people come with tall stories. You have a tall cap too, it's all right. Tell me, who are you? He said, I am the Pope. How dare you talk to me like this? I am God's representative on the planet. Peter looked at him and said, okay, move on. Not this way, not into the gate. He said, move on. He said, how dare you say this to me? I am God's representative, you ask him if you want. Peter said, all right. He raised his voice. It's very busy. He raised his voice and said, hey boss, there is somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet, his name is Pope, do you know him? A grave voice from inside said,
I do not know anyone like that. Boss doesn't know you, move on. Pope was, what is this? He was distraught. How can this be? How can the old man say he doesn't know me? Oh, it must be Alzheimer's. Okay, you do one thing. You ask Jesus, he knows. He knows, I'm his representative on the planet. Peter said, okay, and he raised his voice and said, hey Sonny, there's somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet, his name is Pope, do you know him? A gentle voice from inside said, I do not know anyone like that. Sonny doesn't know you, enough man, move on. I heard enough from you. By now Pope was totally, how can this be? They're not letting him enter the heaven after being a Pope. He said, well, you ask the Holy Ghost. He knows me, I'm his representative on the planet. Peter once again raised his voice and said, hey Spooky, there is somebody here who claims to be your representative on the planet, his name is Pope, do you know him? A mischievous voice from inside said, ah, Pope, is he here? He's the one who spread all those malicious stories about me and Mary, don't you let him in.
A young boy came home one day and told his father, Daddy, I have some good news for you. The father asked, what's the good news? The boy said, you know, I took the math test. He said, yes. What happened? You said, if I pass the math test, you are going to give me 2,000 rupees. The good news is, you saved 2,000 rupees. In his previous life, Shankaran Pillai was a very good man. After a brief illness, he died. Being a good man, naturally he went to heaven. When he went to heaven, the angels, the reception committee welcomed him and then they opened his account book. You know, there they keep accounts of everything, you know that. They turn pages, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed. Cover to cover, only good deeds. Then there was little confusion among the angels. Then they came to Shankaran Pillai and said, Mr. Pillai, there's a little problem. Shankaran Pillai said, what is the problem? They said, see, we have various types of accommodation in heaven. One bad deed, highest level of heaven, seafront view. Two bad deeds, next level. Three bad deeds, next level. Like this, there are many levels of heaven. But no bad deed, there is no such accommodation here. Till now we have never received a man like you without a single bad deed. So we don't know what to do with you. Shankaran Pillai said, what nonsense. I was such a good man in the world, nobody wanted to come anywhere near me. I just lived with the hope of going to heaven. Even here a problem? What kind of nonsense is this? Always I was told, being a good man, I can go to heaven. And when I do a good job of it, you have a problem. Then the angels met among themselves, had a discussion and they said, don't you worry, Mr. Pillai, we have found a solution. We are giving you 3 hours extra life. Your body is still intact anyway. You go back, just commit one bad deed. We'll put you in the highest heaven, nothing lost. And lo, he became alive here. He sat up once again. He sat here thinking how to commit a bad deed. See, no practice, not like you, you know. He's never committed one. So he sat there thinking. 1.5 hours passed away. Then he suddenly realized, there is a woman, well past her prime in the neighborhood, who's been casting inviting glances at him. He being a good man, he never looked that way. Now he thought, okay, adultery is a bad deed. So he went. He went to that lady's house and knocked on the door. She came and opened the door. Shankaran Pillai said, I want you. Why, Mr. Pillai, they told me just yesterday evening that you're on your deathbed. What is this? He said, it doesn't matter, I want you. He went in. Whatever he lacked in practice, he made it up with his enthusiasm to go to heaven. Nature took over, things happened. Now, he looked at his time, the watch is ticking away. He doesn't want to die in her house. He wants to go back home and die. So, he's leaving in a hurry. He said, I need to go. And he came to the door. The lady also came to see him off. As he was leaving, the woman said, Mr. Pillai, do you know what a good deed you have done for me today?
On a certain day, a man fell into the septic tank. I want all of you to visualize yourself in a septic tank. He desperately tried to come out, he could not. Then he started screaming, fire, fire. His neighbors heard this fire call and they called the firemen. They came rushing, looking all over the place for fire, no smoke. Then they found this man, they pulled him out and asked, why were you screaming fire? Where is the fire? He said, if I said shit, would you come? On a certain day, Shankaran Pillai went to the park. There was a pretty-looking woman sitting on a bench, on a stone bench in the park. He went and settled down on the same bench. After some time, he moved closer. She moved little away. Then he waited for 2 minutes and again moved closer. She moved away. Again he moved closer. She was at the end of the bench, so she pushed him away. Then he waited for 2 minutes, sun was just setting, the atmosphere was right. He went down on his knees and said, I love you. I love you like I've never loved anybody in my life. The woman was little soft, and the sun is setting. She melted down. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use the melting down word. And things happened between them, nature took over, many more things happened between them. It was getting 8 o'clock. Shankaran Pillai got up and he said, I need to go. She said, where are you going? You said you love me. In her mind, the moment he says, I love you, both of them have become one. He said, no, I need to go, my wife will be waiting, I have to go at 8 o'clock.
Some scientists were conducting experiments on frogs and the way the frogs were leaping. So once they cut off one of the legs of the frog. The frog that was leaping, tree frogs which were leaping about 20 feet. If you cut off one leg, they were leaping only 15 feet. Then they cut off 2 legs and so on. They were leaping only 10 feet. They cut off 3 legs. With 1 leg it was leaping only 5 feet. Then they cut off all the 4 legs. Then they concluded, when you cut off all the 4 legs of the frog, it becomes deaf.
On a certain day, 4 men were walking in the forest. These 4 men were walking in the forest. One is a Gnana Yogi, another is a Bhakti Yogi, another is a Karma Yogi, and the last one is a Kriya Yogi. These 4 people can never stay together.
They cannot be together. Because a Gnana Yogi means yoga of intelligence. He is a man of intellect, great intellect. He has complete disdain for everybody. He thinks everybody is a fool. Especially these bhakti yogis who are doing Ram Ram or whatever, in his mind they look like utter idiots. He can't stand them. Isn't it? Do you think? Could that man stand bhakti yogis? No, he wouldn't stand. He just can't tolerate them. Bhakti yogis, people of devotion, they have pity for everybody. Because when God Himself is here, you're doing all this mental circus and physical circus. It's just stupid, isn't it? Just hold God's hand and walk into heaven. So bhakti yogis have pity for everybody, for all the foolishness that they're doing. Karma yogis think all these other people are just lazy people. Because if you want something to happen, you have to do it. Because they're lazy and unwilling to do what they need to do, they have invented all these other yogas. Because in the world, if anything has to happen, you must do it, right? Action. These are yoga of action, karma. Kriya yogis have utter disdain for everybody because after all, the whole existence is energy. Unless you transform the energy, how will anything change? Where is the possibility? So, these four people can never be together, but today they were walking together. Suddenly a thunderstorm broke loose, a rainstorm, rain started lashing from every side. They started running, looking for shelter. The bhakti yogi said, "There is an ancient temple in this direction, let's go there for shelter." He always knows the geography of temples. He won't miss a single temple. So they all trusted him and ran in the direction. Then they found an ancient temple where the walls had collapsed long ago. Just a few columns and a roof was there. And in the center, there was a deity, God's image. They ran into this place, not because they were seeking God, not in any kind of love for God, just to escape the rain. They ran in. And then they stood there for a while. Then they found the rain started lashing from every direction. Wherever they stood or sat, the rain was getting at them. So the only place where they could sit was around the deity. So all four of them just hugged the deity and sat. Not because they have fallen in love with God, simply to escape the rain. Suddenly, God appeared. In all their four minds, the same question, why now? We did so much yoga, we did so much puja, worship and so many things. You didn't come then. Now when we're just escaping the rain, why now? And God said, at last you four idiots got together.
Did you know Shankaran Pillai had children? He had children. It's a sweet secret. So one day, Sunday, Shankaran Pillai met his three sons and told them, "You good for nothings, do something good in your life. If you do good things will come back to you." Yeah. Accent अच्छा है? So, these kids were something. I said, "Father, what are good things? How to do good things?" Such a thought had never occurred to them. How can we do good thing? What is a good thing? They asked. He said, "At least help a old woman to cross a street. At least that much good you do." So they left. In the evening they came back. So Shankaran Pillai asked, "Did you do any good thing?" He asked the eldest son. He said, "Yes, father, as you said, I helped a old woman to cross the street." "That is wonderful, my boy." He asked the second son. He said, "I also helped a old woman to cross the street." He thought, both of them? Maybe they were two old women, all right. He asked the third son, he said, "I also helped an old woman to cross the street." He said, "All of you found three old women to help them across the street today?" They said, "Who is talking about three? All of us together we helped one." What, it takes three young boys to help one old woman to cross the street? No, even we three were not enough. You know our cousin Ramu, we also took his help. He asked, "What is that? To help a old woman, three of you and Ramu also?" He said, "Yes, you don't know how stubborn this old woman can be." She did not want to cross the street. We held her by the four limbs. It once happened, Shankaran Pillai went to New York City, got into a taxi, and the taxi driver was driving to a certain destination. Being an Indian who's just landed in America, he wants to talk to everybody. You know, after all, we're Indians. So taxi driver, he started talking, and then taxi driver also opened up. And then when the destination came nearby, he wanted him to stop, so he put his hand in that small opening and touched him on the shoulder. "I want to stop here." The taxi driver jumped out of his skin and lost control over the car and went and hit a tree and went up the tree and stopped like this. And Shankaran Pillai had a bleeding nose and he said, What did I do? Why did you just jump like this? I just wanted you to stop." He said, "You don't understand. Last 32 years, I have been driving a hearse.